What's up YouTube, TP Locs here bringing you another video. Yes, today we're going to talk about a topic that is extremely popular. It's a question that I get probably every week, if not almost every other day. Today we're going to talk about how often you should retwist your dreadlocks. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so now. Subscribe and hit the notification bell on the side. I never know what side it is, but whichever side it is, hit the notification bell. All right, I'm still a rookie. Hit the notification bell so you stay up to date on all the content. If you want to be notified as soon as I post videos, hit one of the, whichever side it's on, hit the bell. You'll stay up to date. All right, let's get started. Now, first things first, it's extremely important to understand that there are several ways to get your hair redone or retwisted. There's interlocking, there's crochet hook, sponge method, freeform method. Today we are going to be specifically talking about comb coils and how often you should get your hair retwisted the comb coil method. We're going to focus on three very important things within this topic. I'm going to talk about twist tightness, twist frequency, and at the very end we're going to do a very mild how to twist and things that you shouldn't do before retwisting. Before we start this video, gots to shout out, shout out my first Patreon supporter, Organic Locs. That's at Organic Locs, traditional spelling. He was my first patron ever. Honestly, you guys, it's extremely important as this channel continues to grow that we have the support from people that really want to see this channel go to the next level. And it really means a lot to have my first patron be Organic Locs. If you guys want to support the Patreon account, the link will be in the description below. Help me help more. All right, that's it. All right, let's get started. How often should we retwist our dreadlocks or our locks, because they're not dreadful? First thing we should understand is our hair, though the locking mechanism, the thing that actually causes our hair to knot, that is natural. The act of parting our hair into perfectly manicured cylindrical section is not natural. That is not something that our hair naturally does. That's not something that if we just washed our hair on a day-to-day basis, it would just do. It is true that our hair will lock, but if we're talking about free-form locks, the free-form lock journey would see our locks do something completely different. When it comes to twisting, the reason why this is important is because we have to understand that the twisting process in general is introducing a mild form of stress to our hair. If we understand that, we approach the twisting tightness with a completely different level of importance. We're talking about twisting your hair and how tight you should twist your hair. It's important to understand the goal. The goal of the retwist is not, I repeat, is not to twist the hair as tightly as you possibly can until you bring all of the lock to one singular point at the root. The point of the retwist is to help maintain the integrity of the parted sections and guide the loose hairs into the lock to continue the cylindrical pattern and the continued form that you wish to have. That is the point of the retwist. Understanding the goal of the retwist helps us properly implement the right routine, the right tactic to get to that goal. Quite often when you see people that are doing their locks, even on these lock channels, you know, on these lock pages and YouTube accounts, you see people like twisting the hair almost until it gets to like this singular point. That's not necessary. It only really takes about 1.5 revolutions of a palm roll to twist my hair as much as I need to. Put a little bit of cream, put the product on, twist it, and then clamp it. That's it. It doesn't have to be too tight. It doesn't have to be overdone. But quite often, when you see people that are doing their locks, the biggest cause of damage is just that over twisting. Over time, if you consistently stress your hair in that way, you are gonna find that your hair is gonna thin. We don't want that. When you're retwisting your hair, less is more. You don't have to twist your hair as far as it'll go. You just about halfway. For me, that can take anywhere between 1.5 to 2 revolutions of a palm roll. And when I say revolution, I mean 1, 2. From the point of that lock being in the middle of your hair, you're talking 1, 2 revolutions of that lock is all your hair needs. Granted, this is going to vary depending on the thickness of the lock, position of the lock, and the phase at which the person is locking their hair. I would advise anyone that's doing any sort of retwist to let the product do the work. That's what the products are for. Whatever the product that you're using is, whether you're using an oil, whether you're using water, cream, gel, let that product do the work. That product should be giving you the hold that you need. You don't need to overstress your hair by twisting it as tightly as possible. Okay? Because again, what ends up happening over time, it might not happen that first time, that third time, it might not cause stress within that first year. Over time, your locks will naturally thin. So before we get too deep in the video, I want to tell you guys a little quick story. I've got a little brother. My little brother is way younger than me. I think at the time he was like 9. He really wanted locks. He saw his older brother with locks, and like any younger brother, he said, I want to do what my older brother's doing. He said he wanted to get locks. My family wasn't trying to let him have locks. He was a little too young and he wasn't able to keep up with his own maintenance. So my mother didn't want to take on the burden of having to do his locks or having to pay money to do his locks at the time. Understandable. So my resourceful little brother, what he does, he goes into the room one day. He might have looked up a YouTube video, maybe he didn't. He ends up going into the restroom and twisting his hair until guess what happened? Yeah, you probably guessed right. He twisted a bald spot in his head. I'm not laughing at my little brother, but the purpose of this story is to sort of demonstrate the potential damage of twisting too tight and over twisting. Although we understand that twisting our hair is not going to instantly create a bald spot, it's about the idea that consistently doing it over a long period of time is going to cause our hair to thin until that hair breaks off. And it's just really honestly an understanding that twisting our hair is going to cause a certain degree of stress. We want to limit that stress as much as possible. We want to limit how frequently we retwist, and we want to limit how tight we retwist, because again, those two forms of stress cause thinning and even hair loss in a lot of instances. When it comes to twisting frequency, it's important to understand that it is going to vary depending on the stage that you're in. Whether it's your starter lock phase, whether you're at your adolescent phase like me, or whether you're your mature phase, it is going to drastically alter how often you should retwist. If you're someone in your starter lock phase, I would recommend you retwist once a month. If you're someone within your adolescent phase like me, I would recommend 1 month to minimum. For you, I would say give your hair at least 2 to 3 months before you retwist. If you're someone within your mature lock phase, I would recommend 3 months or more. Reason why I recommend these time slots is because it's important to understand that twisting your hair is going to be causing stress. When you're in your starter lock phase, it's extremely important to make sure that you can maintain the integrity of those locks. It's very easy for the hair to slip out. In fact, it's its easiest for your hair to slip out of its lock or that particular part at that stage. That's why you might want to do a little bit more regular maintenance of the retwist. When it comes to your adolescent phase, like the phase I'm in, you still want to get your hair some pretty regular maintenance, but you can afford to let it go, you know, at that 2 to 3 month mark. I can wash my hair, let it go, wash my hair, let it go, no problem for that 2 month mark. Mature lockers, those parts are founded. That hair has been trained and it's really not going anywhere. You could go an entire year at the mature lock stage without your hair being affected at all. The reason why I recommend the extended periods is because when it comes to retwisting, it's important to understand that it's stress. Why would you do or introduce that stress to your hair when you didn't have to? We gotta make sure that we're limiting the amount of stress we put in our hair. Now again, all stress is not damage. All stress is not damage, but stress over a long period of time causes damage. So when it comes to retwisting our hair, we want to make sure we minimize the amount of stress as best as possible. Why I recommend the time slots that I recommend. You can adhere to what you'd like to. I would just recommend those, all right? That is my recommendation. I remember when I first started this YouTube channel, in the very beginning, I was telling everybody, hey, you guys can twist as much as you want. You can 2 weeks, 1 week, let your hair be the deciding factor. My hair was the deciding factor. I have several Congos, and I am embarking on journeys now where I'm extending out my twisting, regimen more and more as a result. You don't gotta take my word for it. Keep twisting every 2 weeks if you want to and see what happens. Now, when it comes to how we retwist our hair, it's extremely important that we follow one very important principle. Never retwist your hair dry. Never retwist your hair dry. Those of us who remember our hair prior to locks, anytime we combed our hair out, what did it take? It took a moisturizer, it took an oil, took spraying some water, maybe some Stay So Fro, some Soul Glow, whatever you had to use it to make sure that your hair was manageable, to give you that ability to pick it out or comb it out. Not only that, that was also the way that you minimize the breakage. Principle applies to locks as well. When you're doing your locks, you want to make sure that at least it's some sort of spray bottle nearby where you're spraying the hair directly, or you want to make sure that you retwist your hair fresh out of the shower so that your entire head is damp. Just like our hair when it's in its natural state outside of the locks, is the same principles we want to follow when it is locked. Twisting that hair dry is going to cause the same reaction as it causes as picking out that hair when it's dry. It's going to cause breakage. It's going to cause thinning to your roots. Anytime that I'm about to get a retwist, I make sure not only do I get out the shower with my hair damp, I also put a bottle of water and tea tree oil mix so my wife can spray that directly on each lock right before she's retwisting to make sure that I've got maximum moisturization on my hair. Important to understand that water alone does not strengthen your hair. What a moisturizer does is it increases the elasticity of the hair to allow a little bit more flexibility. All right, it doesn't necessarily strengthen it, but it does give your hair a little bit more ability to withstand some of the stress that you're introducing it to. Before you retwist, always make sure damp your hair. Do not retwist dry. Don't do it. Just to recap, you guys, we talked about tightness, we talked about the frequency of the retwist, as well as the how-to. When it comes to the tightness, do not retwist it too tight. Understand the goal of the retwist. The goal of the retwist is to lightly guide that hair and to make sure that you're reinforcing the integrity of the parts that you cultivated in the very beginning. When it comes to the frequency, it's very much going to alter depending on what stage you're in. If you're in that starter phase, once a month. If you're in that adolescent phase, 2 to 3 months will suffice. If you're in that mature phase, 3 or more will suffice. Understanding that the twist frequency too much is going to cause thinning of your locks. Lastly, we want to make sure that when it comes to twisting our hair, we want to follow one guiding principle. Do not twist dry. We're going to use some water, we're going to use some oil. We're going to make sure that it's moisturized so that we can increase and maximize on that flexibility so that we're not introducing more stress than we have to with the retwist. Understand that each person's hair is different. We're talking about genetic makeup, we're talking about health, we're talking about all the things that you could potentially be doing in your hair that will allow you to retwist at a different frequency, at a different tightness. This is not the law of the land, but this is a guide hopefully to help you guys out who are interested or still looking for a way to establish a regimen. When it comes to retwisting your hair, you don't have to do it too tight, you don't have to do it too frequently, and you damn sure better not be doing it dry, okay? All right, this is TP Locs, you guys. Signing out.